link that he just posted.
Yeah, that's the one I clicked. Maybe I should try Chrome. It just opens up on Safari, but nothing. Just I don't get a message or anything like that. It's just completely like just black.
Yeah, we've had issues in certain browsers. Every time I've used it, it's been in Chrome. So that could
Oh,
possibly be it.
Oh, it's not letting me open it in VS Code anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wonder if and if you just I want to see what happened. Do you want to share your screen so we could just troubleshoot it real quick?
okay, yeah, it was the browser issue because it's open up in Chrome right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I try opening it in Firefox, maybe? Let's try in Firefox.
Try that, yeah. It should definitely work in Edge because it's a Microsoft extension. You know, if it didn't work in Edge, I'd be surprised. Why would Microsoft build an extension that only worked in Chrome? Well, they are partnering with Apple now through OpenAI, so I'm not surprised by anything anymore.
It is pretty weird, but
Yeah, it's wild. It's
yeah.
wild. All right,
Have
well, I
you
see a
heard what
couple
they're going to
people
do to
popping
people
in
who
there.
want to stay on
Now,
Windows 10?
Firefox is letting me open it in VS Code.
Yeah,
God.
Xander, I see you in here. Kevin, Eswar, I see y'all. All right, cool.
Chrome didn't let me open in VS Code, but Firefox gave me the pop-up that said you want to open in VS Code. So I got it open in VS Code now.
All right, perfect. That's even better.
Do
So
I need
there,
to do npm install? Do I need to install any node modules?
if you're in my code editor, then no, I could go ahead and share my terminal, I believe, and I could share my server. So let me share my server first. Let me do npm run dev. All right, localhost 3000. There you go. And I'll share the terminal there, and we should be good to go. Okay. So we're building the appointment sign up. We kind of have like multiple steps here, right? The first step is if they're in a serviceable area, they're going to land on the self-diagnosis, the diagnosis component. From there, if they fill that out and click next, then we're going to go to an estimate. I don't know exactly how we're going to calculate estimates, and we can say that we'll give them estimates at their place. So let's just cut that out for now. And if we want to add it in, then we could add it in. But let's just simplify it a little bit, and we'll go straight to a scheduling. And then we'll go to contact information. So as clear as possible. Schedule appointment. Self-diagnosis. All right, so we have a questionnaire here. We have our scheduling software here. We have our get contact. Oh, let me share my screen.
This is the step-by-step?
Yes, do you?
I'm watching you on VS Code. I'm following you
Okay,
on
cool,
VS
cool,
Code.
cool. Yeah, so my thoughts on this component here is that we have three states: self-diagnosis, schedule component, get contact information. We change the state based on what part of the process they're in. So let's just say the self-diagnosis has a button. When you click that button, it changes the state. Changing the state changes what you see. So instead of seeing self-diagnosis, you're going to see schedule appointment, and then schedule appointment has a button that when you click that, it changes the state again to contact information or whatever. We'll keep it simple. Diagnosis, schedule, and contact. Those could be our three states, honestly. I know in TypeScript, we would normally create maybe an enum for something like this, a 0, 1, or 2 states based on the words. But what do you guys think? Or is there another way to do this?
I like enums just because they formalize it and put it in one location.
Yeah, and if we ever need to change the actual text, we just change it in one spot. Yeah, you're right. But what about as far as the solution? Because this is just one solution. We can break this out into multiple different pages. It just doesn't seem, it seems like the appointment sign up is a good component, and it just seems, this seems pretty good to me. And then we could have a switch statement based on the state where case, how do you write these things? Diagnosis. If the state equals diagnosis, then do this. I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head, so feel free to interrupt. And we could change these into constants. And then one more case. Contact. Break. I don't even think we need that, but we could go ahead and do like return. Self-diagnosis. Return scheduled appointment. And then
You might not need a break if you put a return. I'm not sure though. Or vice versa.
You don't. You don't. I'm just putting it for clarity right now.
Fair.
Yeah, and then we could have a default case, just like form not working or something, but the state has to be set as something. Yeah, we can make some checks so it's always returning something. We just have to cut these strings out and import the enum. I think that would be the best way to do it. But yeah, that's it. So we have this component here, self-diagnosis, we have our schedule appointment, and we have our contact information. So for each one of these, we need a model in the database, and we need a component. So I don't know, you guys want to break these out into, do you want to work on them together, or do you want to just, I take self-diagnosis, you take schedule appointment, and for each one, I'm going to go over to the Prisma database. Obviously, I need to create a model for, I'll just call it diagnosis. And even here, I'll call it diagnosis just to keep it simple. And consistent. So what do you guys want to do? You want to work on these things? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm probably going to cut out. I need to get some sleep.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. I wouldn't mind if we just broke them up into like different parts, and we each just take one of the components to work on.
Yeah, I mean, we're still going to be in the same channel, and we're still going to be chatting. So,
Yeah.
okay. All right, cool. So, which one do you guys want?
I still want to work on the schedule appointment one.
Okay.
For the contact, what do we need? The name. Sorry, my window's open. It's loud. The name, the email, first name, last name, phone number. Okay, there we go. I see it. Same as the customer, right? So the customer is the contact information?
Yes. So first
Okay.
name, last name, phone number, and address. And the address is right here.
We wouldn't need a special model. We just use the customer one.
Yes.
Okay.
Another quick question: did you what is the I say like the timetable in which you like want like the let's like the code like done. Like did you already have like the expected like what is your expected like timestamp for this?
You mean, are you asking if there's a deadline for finishing
Yeah.
this feature? Or are you asking like how the format of the scheduling information?
Yeah, I say like more like the deadline for like, do you have like a deadline for like for when you want each part done, or is it just like when you? Yeah, I guess I'm not asking the question, but I guess yeah. Do you have what are the deadlines if you have any for this? What are the deadlines? Just so I'm
No,
aware.
there's no deadline at all. It's 9:52 right now. So me personally, I'm gonna try to. I have the diagnosis one, so that's really gonna be. I guess there's a couple things built into this. I want to have. I'll start with just vacuum cleaner. Um, but then eventually I want them to be able to choose different appliances like washers, dryers, stoves, TVs, and all that sort of thing. So the actual questions that are being asked are going to be different based on which appliance you've selected. The questions that you ask to diagnose the vacuum is different than the questions that you ask to diagnose a TV. But I'm going to start simple just with one appliance, and I'm going to try to get that done tonight. Like I'm going to try to have just a header that says, um, let's get your thing fixed or whatever, and then some questions. I'll try to get that done tonight. But yeah, no deadline. I mean, we work at our own pace. There's no pressure. We're not working for a company. We're just working together, learning together, and that's it. So yeah,
Okay,
no,
sounds good.
no,
All right.
yeah, no pressure.
Sounds good. So I guess I'll just try. I'll do the schedule appointment, or I'll code what the version of what I think you want. So then it's by have it done by Thursday, just because yeah, Thursday I should be good, just because I have work early in the
Yeah,
morning.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Same. No, no sweat. No sweat. Yeah, if you look at so we're actually using this is going to make it a lot easier for you. You're building the scheduling component. If you go over to Next UI, we have this design system already installed in the project. So if you come down and you see we have date inputs here. So you can literally just import the date input, and then you're going to have a date input. There are other styles of date inputs here. And then, yeah, so choose one that you think looks good.
You said
That's gonna,
right?
that's gonna,
Where is that? Sorry, where is next UI? Sorry, I didn't.
no, I'm gonna go ahead and post a link right in the chat right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be using Next UI to build my questions. So yeah,
I have a question. So in the next UI, I was not able to get the container or the rows from it. Do you know how to import those?
you weren't able to get what?
The container and the row column fields.
Container and row.
Yeah.
We are looking at. Oh, you're talking about maybe some grid.
Yeah, kind of grid.
So we also have Tailwind. So Tailwind is like our base.
Mm-hmm.
If you come over to the docs on the left, you'll see layout, Flexbox and grid. So if
Gotcha.
you click on this here, you should be able to build the grid.
Yeah, I'm just new to all this. Just trying to figure out, playing around.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, grid makes sense. Which one are you going to be working on? Contact information?
Uh, yeah. So with scheduled appointment, but before that, I'm still rusty on this. I'll just play around with any of these components. So I'll just pick schedule appointment and I'll build my own version, and I'll get back to it once.
Cool, cool.
All right.
Awesome, awesome.
All right.
So let
Cool.
me go ahead. I'm going to start trying to actually get this state working. So let me import the state here. We could change this.
Sorry, if once you're done, maybe there's a question for like is there like a pre-installed phone number input also somewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're doing schedule appointment, right? It might even be a good idea because right now we have customer and then we have an address that's going to be attached to every single customer. But then we also need model appointment.
Yeah.
So what's going to be included in the appointment?
The time makes sense.
The date, the time, an ID. We're going to give each appointment an ID. And we're also going to have to make a relation between the appointment and the customer.
Many to
So
one.
we could even, yeah, we could even do, because we want to keep track of them, right? So we could say appointments, and this could be an array of appointments. And create that relation. So every single time they make an appointment, obviously it's attached to their email and their customer ID. And then we could also keep track of the appointments that each customer made. That'll be good later for like, who are your best customers, you know? Who are the ones who are coming back? Who are the loyal ones? So appointment, yeah, we need to figure out exactly what fields, date, time, ID, maybe confirmation. I know that's popular with appointments, whether they've actually confirmed the appointment.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, just wing it, and everything we do, we're gonna go back and we're gonna talk about, and like, why did you choose this way? This way might be better. What do you think about that? So I want to discuss all this stuff as much as possible. So yeah, man, like no pressure, just do whatever you think is best. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Cool.
All right, sounds good. Well, I'm gonna hop off and I'll speak to everybody tomorrow, I believe.
I unfortunately will not be here tomorrow because I'm going to Long Island. I'm in New York City right now, but I'm going to be gone tomorrow. I might be able to join on Thursday, though I'm not sure.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good.
Sounds
Emmanuel, are you
Tuesday's
just
really the
gonna?
best day that I'll Tuesday. I can guarantee I'll be here on Tuesdays.
Okay, cool. I thought Tuesdays were gonna be the slower day, honestly. I feel like everything is just quiet and slow on Tuesdays. Monday's been the busiest, and Wednesday's been one of the busiest too. So it's interesting.
I
But
think because of the weather. I'm in Boston and it's been getting hot lately, so I just think everybody's just maybe people just going out more right now
yeah,
this week.
Emmanuel, are you gonna fork the project and just submit a pull request when it's done, or how are you gonna do it?
Yeah. I'm gonna create my own branch off of it and then just do it from there.
Cool. All right, hit me up anytime, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yes. I want to be as clear as possible. I don't really ever use enums that much. Do either of you use enums?
I'm not too familiar, unfortunately.
Let me look into this. TypeScript. Okay. User response dot yes. appointment form state dot. Can you set it as string? I don't think so. I think it's just 0, 1, and 2. We will start. Okay. And okay. So it has to be, our use state has to be an appointment form state. Okay. Okay. So this will be appointment form state schedule. And we have contact. All right, cool. That was easier than I thought it would be. So we have our num, we have diagnosis, schedule, and contact. If the state is diagnosis, then we return the diagnosis. If it's schedule, we return schedule. If it's contact, we return contact. Simple enough. All right. And then I just wonder how it renders. So if the state changes, then it'll re-render the component. Okay. And then we don't need this. Cool. We don't need this. All right, so we just need to create the components and the database. Yeah, that looks simple. All right, so I'll go ahead and create the diagnosis. When I create a new file or something, does it pull you guys to the file that I'm working on, or because I noticed you guys just popped in? I don't know if you guys chose to come in or if live share is actually pulling you guys in.
When you created the new file, it jumped to it on my screen.
Ah, gotcha. I think there's settings for that. I don't know exactly. Oh, it's in the extension settings, I believe. I don't know if you want to change that because that could get annoying. Like if you're focused and working on something and every single time it pulls you. Yeah, if you go to the extension and then you go to settings, extension settings, and then it's got to be here. Allow guest task control. Allow guest to run and terminate. Always follow host. Ensures that the session's host is always followed. So I believe if you unclick that, then it'll stop following me. Yeah, that's the one. Just in case. So let me have my diagnosis function. Diagnosis cannot be used as a JSX component. Type function return void is not assignable to type React node. Void. Export default function diagnosis. Okay, there we go. So that is working. Let's just get these, let's get these components here, the schedule appointment and the contact wired up. That way we're not getting errors and we can run the code. I'll go ahead and, all right, so I'll create a couple more files. Schedule appointment .tsx and contact information. Where are you guys working on that stuff right now?
I'm just doing on my local.
Got you, got you. Okay. Okay. Contact information and schedule appointment. Cool. I'm just gonna wire up the state, honestly, to make sure that the functionality works. I'll do the database stuff after. Let me just wire this up first.
I may not be able to work on this on my own in the next 2 days, so I can just help you real quick. Follow along what
Okay.
you're doing if you want.
Yeah. Cool. So, all right. So we have all the components imported. They're all created. The skeletons are created. Diagnosis is first, schedule appointment, contact information, and then, all right. So each one of them, I wonder what's the best way to do this now, right? Because if I guess we could just have the button on this appointment sign up and then have the actual component that's changing just above it. That way we could keep all the events and actions in the actual appointment sign up. I don't want to pass functions in through the components. I feel like we're complicating things pretty quickly. If we could just keep all the functionality here, that would be best. So I wonder if, I mean, we might go ahead and change this later. Mm, I don't know. I feel like keeping it here would be the easiest.
You can just do a tabular format.
Yeah, there's probably a better way to do it too, because if I'm typing the button 3 times here, let me see if we did something like this. So we have our form, we have our, let's say, appointment form state, and then we have our,
If you had the button set the state, you would only need one button, I think.
It
have the
dropped on.
buttons, which
You would need multiple buttons with multiple,
But there's also accordion. I don't know.
true. Yeah, I'm thinking this through, because, yeah, you're right, because if, for the button, when it's diagnosis, you want this button to, I guess the button can just,
or you could have it make the corresponding database request based on whatever the state is. So if it's diagnosis, it makes a request to the diagnosis model, or it adds to the diagnosis model. If it's an appointment, it does appointment. If it's contact, it's contact. So whatever the state is, that's the request that you make.
yeah, true, because when you submit the diagnosis, you're gonna wanna save that to the database, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then if they go back and they change it, then it's gonna save another diagnosis, even though it's the same one, because you really don't have. I guess if you move forward, then you could save the diagnosis, and you could
Yeah, you'd
also,
have to reset it. You'd have to reset it every time.
yeah,
Or
but
reset the
then
form. I mean, sorry.
but then you'll be populating the database with the, yeah. Unless there's a way to keep track of the specific diagnosis you're using in this, and then if ever it comes to the point where, yeah, because the server action would be like handle diagnosis. So there's a couple things. I'm not even gonna think about the functionality of saving the diagnosis to the database right now. I'm just gonna focus on changing the state. So, but that is something that you kind of do have to keep in the back of your mind, right? Because as we're thinking about changing the state, this button is also going to send a request to the server. Unless you're saving it for a later point. But yeah, because what I was thinking was just set the form UI and then have the button. Because if you did something like this, form UI, you only type the button once, and on click, handle. Just to keep it simple. Handle click. So if I click the button and we're on diagnosis, so if appointment state is 0 and I click the button, we want to increase it to 1, right? Because this would be 0, 1, 2. But if I click forward and we're on 1, I want to increment it to 2. And if I click that button and we're on 2, that's when we're actually scheduling the appointment, right? So, yeah, I wonder what's the best way to do this. You could do, it could probably be done way cleaner than this. Way more succinct. Because I don't want to have to pass the functionality into the component to change the state. And then it's not actually these components that need access to the state either. So use context wouldn't even make sense. There's nothing I really want to pass to them. So if I set form UI, for example, if appointment form state is 0, let me see. Let form UI equals appointment form state equals 0. Then return, I wonder if this would work, diagnosis, else appointment form state equals 1, return schedule appointment. Else contact information. And then the appointment form state is going to change. And we just pass form UI into here. And then that way, we should be able to just get rid of all that, right? And just do one return statement, form UI. If the appointment state is 0, we're returning diagnosis. Otherwise, check to see if it's equal to 1. If it is, return schedule appointment. Otherwise, return contact information. And this, I believe, would... I wonder if form UI would re-render every single time we handle this click. So we would need this, but we'd also need a go back button, right? Next, and go back. There's got to be a simpler way to do this too. We should be able to just handle click, right? So I believe if we pass, let me see how this thing is rendering right now. I can go ahead and just write it brute force and then go ahead and refactor later. But what's going on? Did someone pop in? Aditya, what's up?
Yeah, going good.
Hey. So basically what we're doing here is we're trying to change what's actually showing up on the UI based on the state of the application. So we have appointment form state. You're either in the diagnosis state, the schedule state, or the contact state. If the appointment form state, you can see we're using state here. It's going to be an appointment form state enum. We're initializing it as diagnosis. So that's actually going to be 1. It's going to return 0. So you can see if appointment form state equals 0, then we're returning diagnosis. If appointment form state equals 1, return schedule appointment, else contact information. And then we just have a forward and a back button, but we only want this back button to show up on the second and the third state. And we only want the forward button to show up on the first and second, because on the third one, we actually want to render a different button, right?
But there are only 3 stages, right? So why
Yes.
can't we just do 3 tabs instead of back and forward? I mean, usually that is done when you have a list of tabs, right? But
3 tabs?
it's just 3 tabs that whichever tab you click, it will take you to that page or something, or having those 3 tabs in all pages. I'm not sure, which is the right way, but yeah,
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. Let's see. I believe that there's some tabs. Something like this, right?
yeah, I was saying something like this. Like in a
But then they're gonna be able to jump to the next tab without completing the first one, right?
oh, okay. Oh, so it's like a oh,
It's a form.
oh, it's like oh, okay. Yeah, then it makes sense. Yeah. Then it's fine.
Let's see. There's got to be. Let's see if there's something for this. I wonder what kind of stuff they have here. Hmm. Yeah, let me run this and see what we're getting here. All right. So we are on sign up. Let's go ahead and do when the bank is not defined. Let me comment these bad boys out. Okay. Just bringing us. All right, so we have diagnosis here. Sign up. Let's see. So it is showing us the diagnosis page, but for some reason it's showing us the email sign up to, which is this. So serviceable form equals true. Why is it showing us the emails? Let's see. Appointment sign up. Schedule appointment page. All right. Oh, because they imported the email. All right, so we don't want this. We only want to render the sign up. That should be good. All right, so we have our diagnosis component. Cool. So it's working. But then what if we go ahead now we need to wire it so that we could go ahead and actually change the state. Let's go ahead and just do it fast. And so if let's just say the forward, let's get these errors out of the way. And the back. Okay. So when handle forward is clicked, then we want to increment an appointment form state. I wonder if you could do it as simple as set appointment form state plus plus. No, it's an enum. You know that's
You can do just +1.
I think it's the data type.
appointment for there we go. Just one. Yeah.
No, I'm saying
Well, only one.
appointment state +1.
But it's not an integer, it's a
Oh, it's an enum. Also, it's
Yeah.
better to create like a
No,
hash
that's
map.
good. No, that's good because this is a constant and we're adding it to
Ah,
yeah, because this is a new expression.
Yeah.
So we're not actually changing appointment form state. We're just using the constant and adding one to it and returning whatever comes back from this. So that works.
Yeah. So your
And
appointment
then
state will get 2 now.
this will be -1, right? And then it should re-render. So form UI should re-render when the state changes. So let's go ahead and
I'd say
all right,
like
there we go. Yeah, it works.
no, but if your value shouldn't get negative or greater than 2, right?
Exactly.
So you
Exactly.
can do like a ternary operation to like do like appointment form state. In that only you can do a ternary operation, I think, within that set appointment form state only.
Well, are you saying something like this? Like if,
Ternary, like you don't need a if, you can do it using ternary.
why would you use the ternary though?
I mean, just one liner, it's right. Like I mean,
Well,
within that,
I mean this. So if appointment form state is less than or equal
no,
to 1,
yeah,
Mhm. My rule is if there is no else block, I won't use a ternary.
then do this. That's still one line.
okay, yeah. I mean, nothing will happen. Yeah,
And then this one, if, but feel free to hop in and code with me, man, because
yeah, no,
appointment
no.
form
I mean,
state
it's not something like way too different or like good in performance. That's fine.
greater than or equal to 1,
Or
right?
zero or one, yeah, one, right.
Yeah, because if it's 0, then it would bring it to negative. Okay, what's this? Cannot find name button. What? Let's, all right, so no matter how many times I click next, the first time I click is always the first. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So that actually, that's good. The thing is, when we click next on this diagnosis, we want to one, create that diagnosis in the database and save that, but we also want to keep track of that diagnosis's ID in case they go back and change the diagnosis and then they go forward again. If we have access to a diagnosis ID, then that diagnosis ID is already state that exists in this component, and we don't want to resave a new one in the database. We want to just update the existing one. So that's
You
like later, but
you can use a callback, right? I mean, just pass a prop to the every tab and just get a callback.
what do you mean?
So in the diagnosis component which you are running, which you are rendering at line number 15, you
Mhm.
can just pass like a prop, right? And then that basically would be a callback function in this bag. So next time when they come back, you can track in this, right? In this parent component, that what's the ID value.
Yeah, in case they go back and resubmit.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
that is easy. That is easy. I mean, that can be done.
Or like you just send the set appointment form state function to each component and let them handle that
Yeah. So
after validation.
yeah, I mean, like you can like basically base pass like some kind of handle function to every component, and then they can return like a callback with the ID which is already done within that session, and then you can handle that ID check whether it's already being set or in this parent function itself, right?
Mhm.
I mean, something
Say
like a
that
Yeah.
again.
callback. I was saying, I'm something like a callback function. I was saying to get the ID of from every component, something like that. But yeah, I mean, we can check that later. Like it's not something now, but yeah, later on we can check that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I was just adding some margin here. I want to clean up the UI a little bit. I guess we could add that to our site layout, right? We could just, how do I do this? Think, okay. Yeah, okay, cool. This layout should be used on, MX. Oops, I guess we didn't need all that. All right, MX 96. All right, cool. Give us a little bit of space on the outside. All right, so I guess we could start building these components just so they actually look good, right? So we have, I'm gonna go ahead and delete some of this other stuff. All right. So we have diagnosis, we have schedule appointment, we have contact information. I guess for the diagnosis, each diagnosis is definitely going to need an ID.
Yeah, AJ, I think I had to run, but I'll be get some progress tomorrow.
Cool, cool. All right.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, see ya. ID. And then I guess each diagnosis, we want to build diagnosis in a way that's flexible, right? Like, let's just say, think of for the future. If we have a vacuum diagnosis, this is much different than a TV diagnosis. So the questions that come along with a vacuum diagnosis is going to be different questions than the ones that come with a TV diagnosis. So maybe question could be an array of
Don't
questions.
you have the concept of like I think I'm not sure, but like interface and inheritance and in this
Interface and iterator.
inheritance. So basically you have the main head class that is like some device, let's say device. In that you would have its child classes, like class concept, object oriented concept. Don't you have that here in this?
This is Prisma. What do you mean by that?
So I mean, all this like model when you say, is it like the database model?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, then go ahead. Yeah, I wasn't talking from this perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, but the cool thing about this is this database actually creates types for you. So instead of creating your own TypeScript types, you could if you really want to, but you could also pull the type from the database. The database, somewhere in here, probably in the dev.db, they store the types for all of the models that you create. So I could go ahead and get the type just from this here. But I could also extend the type too for it to include customer and address. So yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. But what do you think about that? Do you think a diagnosis, because you're gonna have your questions. I don't know if that's the best way to word it or the best way to put it, because each one is gonna have different questions.
Yeah, I mean, for now, like for going with the happy path, I think I would say think about only generic parameters for now. Later on, we can try to make it more specific based on like, because I feel like when you talk about being again specific, I mean, you might be like I mean, it's like adding a bit more functionalities, thinking from like that perspective. But if you want to
Well,
like just,
we're not really thinking ahead because we have to build this diagnosis form, right?
yeah, so I
This
would say like,
diagnosis, once this is built, we want to be able to save it to the database. So whatever this diagnosis form is going to consist of, let's just say we're just starting with one appliance for now. We're just starting with vacuums for now. Does it turn on? Do you hear metal?
yeah,
Do
correct.
you smell smoke? Like that sort of thing. So there's a series of questions, but also, so we need that. We need the question thing. We like, what do we need? That's really the question. I hear what you're saying. You're saying what I'm saying. Like, what do we need? Nothing more, nothing less. But we do need to have the bare minimum to actually submit this
Yeah,
form and save it to the database.
yeah, I'm just
But
talking
I don't
from the
know.
bare minimum. Yeah.
What's the best way? What do you think? I mean, if you're thinking of in the future, there's going to be more than one type of appliance, but also you're thinking about what do we need right now?
Uh,
Is
so
question the best way to go? You know?
you
What you
could
could
basically,
do is pass like the name of the appliance into your database when you make the request, and then based on the name of the appliance, it gets back the list of questions. So you pass in like, oh, I don't know, laundry, and then has all laundry questions. You pass in vacuum cleaner, you get all the vacuum cleaner questions.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
pass in as
Exactly.
a parameter which appliance you're looking for, and then you get back the list of questions specific to the
Yeah.
appliance.
that's going to be in the diagnosis component. We're going to have like either a drop down that allows you to choose the appliance or some type of tabulation or cool looking buttons or whatever. But when you select it, it's just going to load the questions for that appliance.
Oh, okay,
That's
okay.
yeah, that'll be separate unless someone comes up like if there's better ways to do it. But I guess there's a series of questions for each diagnosis that need to be asked. So we need a question and we need the answer, right? So every question has the actual question, which is a string. And the answer, which could also be a value, right? Let's see. I'm thinking. And also each diagnosis needs to be connected to a customer. Yeah. So we have our appointments. I wonder if there's a better way to group all this stuff. Like we have our appointments, we have our diagnosis with our questions and our answers. And then we're also going to have, I wonder if better than appointments would be orders. And then the appointments are actually in relation to the order. I don't know. We could think through that later, but this is pretty basic stuff that we do need to figure out now too. So obviously each address is going to be connected to only one customer. But we could have multiple addresses later. We'll just have one address for now. So the diagnosis is going to be a series of questions. Each question is going to have.
Yeah, even give like in diagnosis, give like I think Xander said, like device name or device type. Like doing diagnosis for what product? Like that should be there, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Device
Yeah.
type.
After line number 41, you need to add one more parameter, like device type. It should be a string.
Device type.
Yeah, you need that.
Device model.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, to be more specific as well. Yeah.
Because they all have their company and then they all have their own models too, right?
Maybe a serial number if you don't want to, if you want to get more specific, but
Yeah, I would say serial number would make sure to be like it would replace like 2 3 parameters straight away. That serial number would be like direct specific. I
If
don't. You need
if
device
there's a
type.
way to target, yeah, if there's a way to target, well, I guess the customer could always just look at the serial number, but for certain things it'll be hard to find.
Yeah.
But I guess
Uh,
the make and
you
the model would be hard to find too, and it might not be as accurate.
is this Prisma and S like a relational database?
Yes.
So make a device as a uh, different model because like one device ID device type can be attached to multiple diagnosis, right?
One device ID can be attached to multiple diagnosis.
Like one device ID can have like multiple diagnosis, right? Like that, let's say for example, this vacuum cleaner of this serial number would have like multiple stages of diagnosis or like that, or is that one-to-one mapping?
I don't know. You're saying like, can it be like what happens if like it needs a new cord and it also needs a roller and it also needs a filter. Like if there's multiple things that it needs.
Yeah.
I think that's actually what I was thinking of, because I was thinking of like the best way to build the algorithm for this, right? Because if somebody answers the question that says, does it turn on? It's something electrical, right? Like there's something electrical. It might be the cord, it might be internal wiring, it might be something else related to the electrical system, right? Like a small piece. It might be the switch. Like there's a couple different things that it could be. But the
Yeah, I
only way
mean,
to know. Go ahead.
yeah, so you're right. Like, I mean, if we go in, so there are like two layers to it. One is if you want to be something which is like not trying to like categorize anything, any diagnosis, that's one way. Secondly, is this questions tab can handle, like, doesn't have to worry about the categorization of diagnosis. But if you are worrying about categorization of diagnosis, then you would need a lot of different models and a bit of, we need to have a bit of understanding of like the products as well. That what are the categories they can actually go into, if you think from that perspective.
Mm. Yeah, I was thinking that there's got to be APIs to pull in
Yeah,
device.
so we need to have that at least so that some domain knowledge, some APIs which can give us that domain knowledge straight away rather than for us to do a research.
Yeah, because based on device type, it's going to pull from the vacuum API that shows you the makes of different vacuums, and based on the make, it's going to show you the models for that specific make. And so I could see those being strings. And then I think that we also need a few other things, though. I mean, we need issues, which is going to be an array of issues, like one, right? Because I don't think you could do array of strings in Prisma. I think you actually have to create. Type string is neither built-in type nor refers to another model, composite type, or a num. Did you mean
You,
string?
you you can't do array in relational. You can't store a list.
Okay.
Yeah, you would need to store it as a entire string, like a JSON string.
No, you could save it in arrays. I do that already.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of this. Okay.
Yeah, it's just Prisma. Yeah, because I do the other application I'm building, I have users and I have accounts, and every user has an accounts field, and it's an array of accounts. So like one account might be logged in with GitHub, the other one might be Google, one might be Facebook. So they could have different accounts, but always just one user. But yeah, they let me save in lists or arrays.
Yeah, I mean
What
that's
was the one that you said to add here? Oh, the model. Um, but I wonder if even that would be good, because we would need. Yeah, I could see building multiple enums here too, because there's different. I guess you would classify all of the potential issues based on the appliance. So like it might be electrical, it might be mechanical. Like there's only a certain classification of issues, and as appliances or devices, I'll stop saying appliances. I'll say device because that's a way better word. Um, you were right. As devices become more complex, like computers, it could be electrical. Can it be mechanical? Yeah, I guess it could be if it's the keyboard, right?
yeah. I mean
Like,
there can be like many categories. I mean, but yeah,
yeah, issues. So I guess we could just keep a string right now to keep it simple.
yeah,
Because if you answer yes to, or the question is, does it turn on, and you say no, then automatically we're pushing electrical onto our issues array, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the issues because we need more information. And then another thing that we need diagnosis, which is actually going to be saved after the technician leaves the house, is
Yeah.
repairs, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, we could keep this string for now. And this is actually going to be, actually, if it's an array, it'll just start as an empty array. All right, cool. Because based on all this information, based on the questions, based on the issues, and then the repairs is actually going to be the label, is going to be the label for the data, right? It's like we collected all this information, and based on all this information, the repair ended up being this repair or that repair. And then once you have all that data, you're able to train a model on it and predict what the repair is going to be, making sure that you show up with the right parts every single time. You don't have to come back, speed up ease of service, make it faster, everything. I feel like that would be good. So, all right, is there anything else we should add here?
I think that's pretty good for now. It covers like most of the major.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Yeah.
And then answer. Should we have a topic? Like type of question, topic for type, like is it a question that has to do with electrical? Is it a question that has to do with, like, because then otherwise, how do we know if
So what is issues then? I mean, in diagnosis.
issue would be type?
No. In diagnosis model, what's the issues?
Yeah, I'm saying like if the type of question is an electrical question, if it's a mechanical question, so if the answer you give
So okay.
is not,
So I
then it would be added to the issues, right? Like the type would be added to the issue because it's this type of issue. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. So, is it like if you have like around 10 questions and they have like most of them is like electrical, then the type would be electrical. Is it like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't thought about everything so much either. So it's like,
No, I think issues, I don't think you would need issues list, I think. I don't think you would need in the diagnosis because the question should be something which would be like attached to an issue type, right? I don't think you need to attach the issues to the diagnosis. Issues should be attached to the question.
issue type.
Yeah, that's right. Issue type is right for the question, but I'm talking about the issues list in the diagnosis. I don't think you need that. Line
I
number
don't think
47.
that I don't think the repair technicians will be looking at the questions individually though, right? Like they'll just get a list of issues. Like what are the potential things that could go wrong here? I guess maybe they would look at the questions. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, so
Yeah,
what you can do
yeah,
is you can go into the diagnosis model, you can get the list of questions, and from that itself you can fetch unique issue types, and then you can use like a hash map to connect that issue type to the question and show it to the repairs to the technicians. You don't need a issues,
true.
like it's like an additional thing, redundant thing, I think.
True. So if you could filter by issue type and then we should also be able to filter by if there's a problem.
Yeah, there are various things you can use, but I think the issue type should be tied to a question and not to the diagnosis.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. All right. I deleted issues from diagnosis. That makes way more sense because yeah. Yeah. And then so if there's I guess we could just say problem. It's either the answer to their question was either a problem or not, right? Like true. So if this was a question that should raise some suspicion, then you could also filter by that. That should actually be the default. Like when a technician looks at the screen, they should see the questions that raised suspicion of like, hey, something's wrong here. They answered this in a way that cues us that something's wrong. So check out these questions. Filter by whether it's a problem or not. I don't know if problem is the right word, probably not, but that's okay. This
Yeah, I
looks
mean,
good.
we can go ahead with the name. Later on, we can change it when we
Yeah,
like.
yeah, yeah. Just before production, we'll have to make sure this stuff is right because if we start saving it as problem and we change it later, it's gonna make things complicated to like move all the problem data to for all the questions. Like it's just, I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. All right. Let me just check Prisma relations really quickly because we want relation fields. So for the author is going to be a user, author ID, and it references the ID and the user. So the author ID references the ID and the user, right? So here we say references the ID in the customer. And what was that? User. So this is actually going to be customer. Okay. So that looks right. And then author ID. There is no author ID there. Customer ID. Okay. Cool. So this should work, right? Here, parsing attribute relation. A one-to-one relation must use unique fields on the defining side. Either add a unique attribute to the field customer ID or change the relation one to many. Yeah, so unique, right? Okay, and then error validating field appointments and model customer, the relation field appointments on model customer is missing the opposite relation field on the model appointment. So they can have multiple appointments, right? Appointment, okay. So this is gonna have an ID string. Date, date, time. All right, so I believe we could actually just say the date time object, right?
Yeah, I mean, appointment like yeah, this ID and this appointment. And appointment basically means the technician visit, right, to the customer.
Yes.
Yeah, I think ID and date time.
And then customer ID and customer. Because we want to make that relationship, right? So this is going to be a string. Each appointment is going to have a unique customer ID. Also going to have a customer. And so this is one to many, right? Yeah. Let me just make sure that's right. Is host. Okay, so yeah, this is one to many. Okay, that looks, we're not getting any errors now, right? Just these.
Question then more.
Oh, so we need a diagnosis ID thing, unique, and And repairs. Do we need repairs?
What is repairs?
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess what was actually done, right? Like what was actually done?
Okay.
What was the end result? What ended up happening? Or maybe order would just be better, right? And just have a
Mm.
final order that you attach to the diagnosis. Like when everything's complete, have the order, and the order is gonna end up having like line items. That'll be based off of yeah, I guess because that would be more detailed, right? You would have line items, you'd have prices, you'd have everything in the order.
Yeah.
And there's one order attached to each diagnosis. Yeah, because you could do multiple repairs. So that would make sense to me. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, you could like, so you could make it like, I mean, repairs also works. It's like repairs. It should be like list of repairs object. But yeah, like if you talk about like repairs, so for every diagnosis there can be multiple repairs, right? For one diagnosis.
Yeah, but just one order, right?
Yeah, one order, but now in that order you need to now add the list of something, right? List of repairs, let's say, or list of some like that
True.
one order. Where is the order? Like you haven't created the order, right? So
No, there's no order.
so yeah, you need to like now in this order it would be, let's say, ID, and then there'll be a diagnosis ID as a foreign key.
The diagnosis ID.
Yeah, I mean to like I don't know how you do that one-to-one mapping.
Yeah. So
I don't remember. I don't know the one-to-one mapping. Yeah. So
diagnosis ID, it's unique because each diagnosis is gonna have one order,
yeah, and then
right?
yeah, it's a one-to-one mapping, right? For one
And
order,
then
and then
diagnosis. And
and
then we could
then
just
there will be
do
like a list of string. Like here, it would have like repairs, right?
diagnosis ID, references ID, in the diagnosis, ID, default. Here, parsing attribute relation, the relation diagnosis on model order is required.
Yeah, you did
This is
that.
not valid because it's not possible to enforce constraint on the database level. Please change the field type from what? Wait, what? Isn't it the same?
Not valid order is equalization field. No, no, he's saying that to add a question mark means, I think it's like a optional thing.
Uh, no.
No, not here. Not there at the top, at the model name. The model, yeah, the
Over here?
diagnosis, diagnosis model at the top. Uh,
Uh,
they no
because there might
title.
not be an order there.
No,
Yeah, there
not
you
there.
go.
Okay, did it?
That
Okay,
that way. Yeah, because this is optional.
yeah.
Yeah, question mark after that. Yep, yep. All right. All right. Well, that looks good enough to at least start building these forms, right? So, but it's
Yeah.
11 right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and let me just go ahead and check the changes that were made tonight. Let's see. So we have create customer. We haven't done anything with that server action yet inside our admin. all of these were changed. Let's see. I'm not gonna go ahead and
No,
add any of
don't
those.
remove those files. Only those files are needed, but only shape file .shp file gets used. But those file are used, so you only read one file which is .shp file. But
This one,
the yeah, but the projection file which is .prj, those files are needed, but you don't need to edit it, but they are needed.
this one.
They are needed, but you don't need to do anything with that file. Just let it be.
It just looks like some text data.
It's a projection. It's the how the map. If you change that file, then your map will might look upside down, or it might refer to some random point. So don't do anything there.
I got you, got you. But so the SHP and the PRJ keep, all this other stuff get rid of.
No, no, everything is needed. Everything has their own layers. But the one which you read is only .shp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and just do npm install this. I do want to play around with some test stuff later. Okay. All right, so that's good. Contact information, we got that. Diagnosis, we got that. Schedule appointment. And then, all right, so this is looking pretty good. No errors. Email sign up. They didn't work on this tonight. Looking good. And then just change this in the layout. All right, cool. So let's see. Git status. Wow. Okay. So git add all. Those are the ones that I looked at. Git commit. Create form components and database reflects component. Okay, cool, cool. Wow, that's slow, man.
Shape files are big. That's why they are like sometimes they are like 1 GB, 2 GB.
Oh, then I don't even want them in this project, man. There's got
Yeah.
to be a better way, better place to store them than on the server, right? Like you don't want to store you don't want to store anything on the server, right? Shouldn't it be stateless?
Yeah,
Well, I guess, go ahead.
I usually store the shape like I worked on shape files. We usually store the shape files in S3.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Could you add them to the
Um,
git ignore?
Yeah, it better if you add them to git ignore the shape files.
yeah, good point.
Just put all those files in some folder and just put that folder itself in git ignore.
Yeah, admin. Let me just say switch data for now. I should be able to do all of them at the same time, though.
Oh,
Oops.
you're moving. Oh, you selected zip data as well.
Oh. All right.
That like
So
I think it
mm,
was down somewhere. The git ignore.
yeah, it
Like,
is. But I'm gonna actually want to pull this into repair. want to pull it into, I guess let's pull it a little bit down here. And then I wonder if there's a way to pull it just into the root. Oh yeah, okay, so that's the root. All right, zip data, cool. So that's the root, that'll make it. All right, cool. And then get ignore, we could just do / zip data, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that should be good. All right. Looking good, looking good. All right, I guess so. Tomorrow night is just working on the components, actually building the forms, and then creating the server actions to make sure that when we submit those forms, they're actually saved into the database. Simple enough. All right, cool. I'm going to hop off. Feel free to join the other team. They're working on the email form, the simpler component at the end of the day. So I believe they're gonna fork it at the end of the night or whatever. But yeah, they're good. Cool. Alrighty, y'all. Have a good night. I will chat with you all soon.
You too.
Well, I guess it's just you two now. So
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
I will chat with you two later.
Yeah,
Have a good night.
definitely. I'll be back.
See ya.